शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानामेकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्ज सम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தஹே जगदः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्री पार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन्। हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणम्। नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. യതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ട തോറും പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning. Thank you all. Sorry, I missed the class. Sorry, somebody said something.
Oh, just said good morning, sir.
Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, Anita, good morning. Yeah, sorry, last week we could not hold the class. I was traveling. Okay. Do we have Ravi? Who's on the iPhone? Ravi, is it Ravi or Venkat?
Yeah, it is me.
Ravi, okay.
Yeah.
Ravi, can you do 27 or 28, Ravi?
Yeah, I can. No problem.
And then let me just see who else I had. And Kritika, can you do one of those? The other one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sure.
So we 27 பண்றீங்களா?
So okay. Durvasasura vanidavda divyamalyam sakraya swayam udaye tatra bhuyah nagendra pradimride savasakram kashanti stridara devedam sajanam.
Maybe the tune see if you're able to under the sharp இல்ல அந்த டியூன் இந்த ஷாப்பேன பிரதிதஜரேத நிர்ஜரேந்திரே.
Okay. Durvasasura vanidabda divyamalyam sakraya swayam upadaya tatra bhuyah nagendra pradimritite sasabasakram gashanti tvaidara devadam sujanam. Is correct?
Correct, yeah.
I was doing something else, so I changed this tune. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sorry. Yeah. Ravi, இருக்கல?
I'm there.
Oh, full chapter பண்ணீங்க.
I should. Okay, I thought okay. I'll go. सावेन प्रीतजरेत निर्जरेन्द्रे देवेष्वप्यसुरस्तुतेषु दुष्प्रवेशु सर्वात्य कमलजमेद्य सर्वदेवा निर्वाणप्रभः समं भवन्तमाबुः ब्रह्मात्यै स्तुत महिमा सिरं तदानीं प्रादुष्यन् वरद पुरप्रेणदाम्ना हे देवातिजकुलैर्विधाय सन्तीं पीयूषं प्रमददेदि पर्यसास्वम्.
Last line परिमथतेति.
पीयूषं परिमथतेदि पर्यसास्वम्. सन्तानं कृतवति दानवै सौरौके मन्तानं नैति मदेन मन्तराद्रिं पृष्टेऽस्मिन् पदरमिवोत्पहन् गगेन्द्रे सत्यस्त्वं विनिहितवान् भयभयोदौ आदाय कृतमद वासुकिं वरद्रां पादोदौ विनिहित सर्वबीजजाले प्रारब्धे मदनविदौ सुरासुरैस्तैः व्याजात्वं भुजग मुगेकरो सुरारीन् शुद्धात्रौ शपित जाले जलोदरे तदानीं दुक्ताब्दौ गुरुधर पारदो निमग्ने देवेशो विदिततमेषु तत्प्रियेक्षै प्राणैक्षिः कमडदनुं कठोरभृष्टाम् वज्रादिसिद्धिरधर कर्बरेण विष्णो विस्तारात् परिगत लक्षयोजनेन अम्बोदेह गुहर कदेन वष्मना त्वं निर्मग्नं श्रुतिधर नादं उन्निनेद उन्मग्ने जडति तदा दरादरेन्द्रे निर्मेदोर्दृढमिग सम्मदेन सर्वे आविश्यद्विदय कनेऽपि सर्पराजे वैवस्यं परिसमयन् अविवृतस्तान् उद्दाम प्रमण जवोन्नमद्गिरीन्द्रनस्तैग सिद्धिरधरहस्तपङ्कजं त्वाम् अप्रान्ते विधि कृसादेः प्रमोदात् उत्प्रान्तानुभव उबाद पुष्पवर्षाः. I think I didn't do it correctly.
उद्भ्रान्ता नुनुबुरुपात पुष्पवर्षाः.
उत्प्रान्ता नुनुबुरुपात पुष्पवर्षाः दैत्यौगे भुजगमुगानिलेन दत्ते देनैव त्रिद सकुलेऽपि किञ्चिदार्थे कारुण्याद्दव किल देव वारिवाहाः प्रावर्षन् अमरगणान्न दैत्यसङ्कान् उत्प्राम्यत् बहुदिमि नक्लचक्रवाले तप्राद्दौ स्थिरमदिदेवि निर्विगारे एकस्त्वं करयुगकृष्टसर्पराजः सम्राजन् भवनपुरे स पाहिरोहात्
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha.
So I can continue,
Yes.
right?
இல்ல
Oh,
ஆமா
no.
இல்ல Kritika will do 28. Kritika will do 28.
Okay.
Dasakam 28, Lakshmi Swayamvara Amrita Pradurbhava Cha Karalam Taralanalam Purastaj Jalate Rutvijakala Kala Gutam Amarastu Padamedhanigno Giriyastannipapau Pavat Priyartam.
Kritika, the third line, more than igno. Amarastuti Vada, more than igno.
Amarastu Modanigno. Vimatastu Surashureshu Jada Surabhistam Rushi Shinnayat Shinnayatastritatman Hayaratnamabhudadeparatnam Dyudaruschapsaras Sureshu Dani Jagadisa Pavat Paratadanim Kamaniya Kamala Babuva Devi Amala Mavalokyayam Vilolaha Sakalo Bisbrahayam Babuva Lokaha Tvayi Tattahrite Tadaiva Devyai Tritasendro Manipidikam Vyatarit Sakalo Bahrutaabhiseshaniyair Rishayastam Shrutigir Pirapyakshinchan.
And the third line, the end, Kritika, Abhishechaniyehi, Visarga there, and comma. Third line.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Abhisheka Jalanupadi Mukta Tvatapangai Ravabhushitangavallim Manikundala Pita Chelahara Pramukaistama Marada Yonvabhushan.
Now, a small correction. The second line, Tvada pa sound comes.
Tvadapangai Ravabhushitangavalli. Okay. Varanasrajamata Bringanadam Tadadisha Kusakumbha Mantayana Patasinchita Manjunu Puratwam Kalita Brila Vilasamasasada Girishat Ruhinadi Sarvadevan Gunapajopya Vimukta Joshlesan Avamrushya Sadaiva Sarvaramye Nihita Tvayyanaya Bidivyamala Purasa Tarasa Mamanitainam Bhuvananam Janani Mananya Bhavam Swature Vilasatta Dikshanashri Parivrishtiya Paripushtamasa Vishwam.
A third line, first word, Twaduro. Okay.
Twaduru. Adimohana Vipramata Matayandi Kaluvaruni Niragat Tamasaf Padavimatasthavamena Madisammamananaya Mahasuropyaha.
The third line, Tvamenam, we put a im at the end of the third line. So fourth line, first word becomes a. Ati Sammanan.
Okay.
Yeah, Mahasurebhyaha. Okay.
Mahasura. Okay. Tarunam Pudasundarastadaatvam Nanutan Vandri Ruttitomburaase Amurtam Kalasevahan Karapya Makilartim Haramarudalayesha.
The same with third line here also, Karabhyam, im at the end of the third line. And then fourth line, Akilartim.
என் புக்ல எப்படி இருக்குனாக்கா அமிர்தம் கலசே வகன் கராப்யா மகிலார்த்திம் ஹரா மாருதாலயேஷ. நான் அப்படியே சேர்த்து படிச்சேன், நான் அதுல எழுதிக்கல.
You are the Karabhyam, im, and then comma, and then Akilartim. Okay, fourth line. I think you said Karabhyam, Makilartim, you said.
Rajesh,
அப்படி
I
இல்லாம
have an
கராபியா மக்கிலானே சொல்லிடலாமா அப்படி இல்லைன்னா
Yeah, that's how it is. Karabhyam im
இம்
is the
போடணுமா?
im, comma, and then akhilarthim.
ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ.
என்னது கராபியாம் அகிலார்த்திம், right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Where is the in anga?
No, not in, im, m.
இம்.
Im, karabyam.
Correct. Yeah, I think she didn't say that. She said karabhya.
Amritam karabyam akilartim haramarutalayesh. அப்படி இல்லையா?
That's correct, yes. And then
I have another question, sir. When Nanu dan vantarir and then uttitom purashe he.
Yeah, I was going to correct that. Yeah, the visarga she missed the end of the second line, Kritika. Burashe he anga visarga irukku. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
புராஷே.
Burashe he. There's a visarga there, right? You have the two dots.
Okay.
Yeah.
ஆமா.
Yeah. So burashe he, that sound has to come. Okay, very good. All right, let's continue with 29 today. So I know Radha, you have to drop early, so you can be student in the first half. And then Shashireka, you can be student, okay? Second one, Bhuvana, you can be student, and Ratiji, you can be student. So 29, so 29 is a couple of things, but the title in my book, it's Devanam Amrutopa Labdhi Prakaravarnam. The Devas getting the Amrita. It's also the Mohini Avataram incarnation, like we've spoken about. So stanza 1. Udgachatastavakarat amritam haratsu daiteshu tana sharanananuniya devan sadyastiro dhadita deva bhavat prabhavat udyat swayutya kalahaditija bhabubuhu. So in the last few chapters, we saw kind of the multiple times that God was coming in to help, right? And the Kurma Avataram was going on. So in the previous Dashakam, we saw how first Kala Kutam came, which then Lord Shiva came and helped, and then he drank it. And then we saw various things coming out of it. We saw the Surabhi, Kamadhenu come. Then the Uchchaishrava, the horse came. The Airavata, elephant came. The Apsaras came. Then Mahalakshmi herself came out of the ocean. And then we saw the Lakshmi Swayamvaram, which happened, right? And then the very end, last stanza, finally, after all of these things, finally Dhanvantari comes with the nectar. That's how that chapter ended. So now this is what everybody has been waiting for. That's how the whole process started, because they all wanted to get the nectar. So finally the nectar has come now. So when the nectar comes, and Dhanvantari comes with this pot of nectar, immediately the Asuras, they were just waiting for that to happen. And what they were all in a truce, right? They were all working together all this time. But the moment they saw the nectar, they decided that this is the chance. So they immediately went and grabbed that nectar from Dhanvantari, and then they tried to run away. So what will the Devas do? So they decided not to fight, because they were anyway weak. That was also the kind of the source for this problem, right? They had become weak. So they went to the Lord Narayana, who was there, and say that, you have to please help us out here. So the Lord says, don't worry. He says, I've done all these things over the last 2 Dashakams. I will help you out here also, right? He says, I'll take care of it. And then he says, because of your Maya, you then create a quarrel between the Asuras. So the Asuras, now they have the pot of nectar. Now they start fighting amongst themselves as to who is going to get how much share of the nectar, because that has to be distributed, right? So they could not agree amongst themselves how they are going to distribute the nectar. So they start fighting amongst themselves about it. So Udgachathas tava karat amritam haratsu, daityeshu. So next word, than asharanan anuniya. If you want to break it, you can say it together also. If you want to break it, it becomes than asharanan anuniya devan sadyas tirodhadita deva bhavat prabhavat. Put the it at the end of that line. Prabhavat, comma. Next line, the du that you have becomes a u. Udyat swa yutya kalaha ditija babhuvuhu. Udgachatastavarad amritam haratsu daiteshu tana sharanananuniya devan sadyasthirodhadita deva bhavat prabhavat udyat swayutya kalaha ditija babhuvuhu.
उत्कच्चतस्तव करादमृतं हरस्तु दैत्येषु तान अशरणा अनुनीय देवान् सद्यस्तिरोधति तदेव भवत्प्रभावात् उद्यत्सयूथकलया दितिजा बभूः.
Rather, last line, swayutya kalaha.
सदुत्यकलः दितिजा बभूः.
Buhu.
बभूः.
Babu, buhu.
Babuhu is what?
No. I think you are not saying the last letter bu. It is babu, buhu.
Babu, uhu.
Yeah, correct. One more time.
Oh, sorry.
2 times, Ilya?
2 times. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay. उत्कच्चतस्तव करादमृतं हरस्तु दैत्येषु तान अशरणा अनुनीय देवान् सद्यस्तिरोधति तदेव भवत्प्रभावात् उद्यत्सयूथकलया दितिजा बभूवुः.
So you again saying kalaya, you're saying kalaha.
Kalaha ditija. Sorry.
उद्गच्छतस्तव करादमृतं हरत्सु दैत्येषु तान् शरणाननुनीय देवान् सद्यस्तिरोदधिति देव भवत्प्रभावात् उद्यत्स्वयूत्य कलहादितिजा बभूवुः. उद्गच्छतस्तव करादमृतं हरत्सु दैत्येषु तान् शरणाननुनीय देवान् सद्यस्तिरोदधिथ देव भवत्प्रभावात् उद्यत्स्वयूत्य कलहादितिजा बभूवुः.
Starts to Shyamham ruchapi vayasapi tanum tadhanim praptosi tunga kuchamandala bhanguram tvam piyusha kumbha kalaham parimuchya sarve trishna kulah pratiyayustvaduroja kumbhe. So when the asuras were then fighting as to who's going to get this nectar or how they are going to distribute the nectar. So at that time, the Lord disappears and then suddenly he then takes on a very unique incarnation. So he then comes in the form of a woman. So like we said, there's no gender, right? And the Lord Bhagavan Brahman doesn't have a form. It can be a tortoise, which is what happened. It can be a boar, like we saw. It will become a fish sometime later. It can be a form of a human, like we're going to see. And here he takes a form of a feminine gender, right? So he comes in the form of a very beautiful woman. So this incarnation is called as Mohini because one who can create delusion is called Mohini, Moham. So one who can actually delude people. That's the kind of the meaning of this thing, right? So the form of the Lord was like very beautiful, was very pleasing to the mind because the purpose of this is to create attraction, to delude, to trick people, right? So he was in a very pleasing form. And then it says it resembles like a black lotus. So the lotus, you kind of see, you normally see pink color, right? Just if the same lotus was black in color with such, lotus like eyes, it was that kind of form, very dark form, black color form. So when the demons were kind of fighting amongst themselves and all this, suddenly they see this very beautiful woman coming towards them. And because her intention was also to kind of trigger lust. So she was walking in a very the gait, the way she was walking, the way she was approaching, and the way she was looking at the demons, it created a lot of lusty desires amongst the demons. They really looked at her and said, who is this really beautiful one who's actually come here? And they all now wanted to get hold of her. So their attention kind of diverted away from fighting for the nectar to seeing who is this beautiful woman who has come here. So Shyamam Ruchapi, some books may have Vachasapi, changes to Vayasapi. Okay, put a ya there. Vayasapi Tanum Tadanim, comma, Praptosi Tunga Kucha Mandala Bhanguram Tvam Piyusha Kumbha Kalaham Parimuchya Sarve, comma, Trishna Kulaha, put a F, Trishna Kulaf Pratiyayus tvaduroja kumbe. Shyamam ruchapi vayasapi tanum tadanim praptosi tunga kuchamandala bhanguram tvam piyusha kumbha kalaham parimuchya sarve trishna kulah pratiyayus tvaduroja kumbhe.
श्यामां रुचापि वयसापि तनुं तदानीं प्राप्नोसि तुङ्गकुचमण्डलभङ्गुरात्वं पीयूषकुम्भकलहं परिमुच्य सर्वे तृष्णाकुलः प्रतिययुयुत्स्वदु रोजकुम्भे श्यामां रुचापि वयसापि तनुं तदानीं प्राप्नोसि तुङ्गकुचमण्डलभङ्गुरां त्वं पीयूषकुम्भकलहं परिमुच्य सर्वे तृष्णाकुलः प्रतियुयुत्सुस्वदुरोजकुम्भे.
The last line, the pratiyayus tvaduroja.
प्रतिययुत्स्वदुरोजकुम्भे.
श्यामां रुचापि वयसापि तनुं तदानीं प्राप्तोऽसि तुङ्गकुचमण्डलभङ्गुरां त्वं पीयूषकुम्भकलहं परिमुच्य सर्वे तृष्णाकुलाः प्रतिययुस्त्वदुरोजकुम्भे श्यामां रुचापि वयसापि तनुं तदानीं प्राप्तोऽसि तुङ्गकुचमण्डलभङ्गुरां त्वं पीयूषकुम्भकलहं परिमुच्य सर्वे तृष्णाकुलाः प्रतिययुस्त्वदुरोजकुम्भे.
Stanza 3. Katvam mrigakshi vibhajasva sudhamimamiti arudha raga vipashana piya chatomun vishwasyate mai katham khulatasmi daityaha ityalapannapi suvishwasitanathanihi. So because they were all so deluded because of Mohini, so they all approach her and then they say, you know what, you look like such a beautiful woman. It says Ruchapi Vayasapi. So both in the looks as well as in age, right? She was a young woman. So they approach saying, you know, you have such nice eyes resembling the lotus petals. He says, who are you? Where have you come from? And what are you doing here? Right? He says, because of looking at you itself, they say our minds are completely getting agitated. We are not able to control our mind. Just even looking at you, you're so beautiful. So who are you? And then because, you know, they are like so carried away by her, by the lust, they actually share one very important detail with her. So they say that we all are fighting amongst ourselves for one particular issue. He says we have this container of nectar with us. You know, although we are all same family, right? But we are all brothers, but we all are not very hostile towards each other. So he says not only amongst us asuras, he says even the devas, we are all born from the same father Kashyapa. But even though we are all related, we are all exhibiting this kind of this nectar is creating this fight amongst us. So they say we want you to come and solve this problem for us. So he says you're a third party person, right? So you please come. You are a very beautiful woman. So looks like you are, you know, you can help us out here, right? So you can please help us out here. They come and approach her. So immediately Mohini says, okay, you know what, I'll help you out. Then, you know, then it might feel like something is wrong, right? So anyway, so here when they come in and say, the Mohini then says that Kulatasmi Dhaita, he says, you all don't even know who I am, right? So how can you? She says, I'm a prostitute, right? That's what she says. I'm a kulata, I'm a prostitute. How can you have trust in me? How can you know that I will make the right choice? So you have such an important critical matter and you're giving it in my hands without, you know, it's just a person who is learned, one who is wise will not make such foolish decisions, which is if they are not able to make a decision, put the decision to somebody who is not wise. She says it's not right that you're giving it to me. That's what she first refuses it. So Katvam Mrigakshi Vibhajaswa Sudam Imamiti. So put a short T, Sudam Imamiti. Short T, comma. Next line, the Thya that you have, that will become A. Arudha Raga Vivashan Abhyachatomun. If you want to break it that now. Arudha Raga Vivashan Abhyachatomun. Vishwasyate Mai Katham Kulatasmi Daityaha. You may not have a visarga, add a visarga there. Kulatasmi Daityaha, comma. Ityalapannapi Suvi Shwasitana Thanihi. Katvam mridakshi vibhajasva sudami mamiti arudharaga vivashana bhiyachatomun vishwasyate mai katham kulatasmi daityaha ityalapannapi suvishwasitanatanihi.
Katvam mrigakshi vibhajasva sudamimamiti arudharaga vivashana bhiyachato mun vishwasyate mayi katham kulatasmi daityaha ityalapannapi suvishwasitanatanihi. Katvam mrigakshi vibhajasva sudamimamiti Arudharaga vivashan abhiyachato mun vishwasyate mahi katham kulatasmi daityaha ityalapannapi suvi shwasitanatanihi.
Katvam mrigakshi vibhajasva sudhami mamiti arudharaga vivashana bhiyachato mun Vishwasyate mayi katham kulatasmi daityaha ityalapannapi suvishwasitanatanihi. Katvam mrigakshi vibhajasva sudhami mamiti arudharaga vivashana bhiyachato mun Vishwasyate mayi katham kulatasmi daityaha ityalapannapi suvishwasitanatanihi.
Tons of hope. Mudhat sudha kalashameshu dadatsu satvam duscheshtitam mama sahadvamite bruvana pankti prabheda viniveshita deva daitya leela vilasa ghatibe samada sudhamtam. So because initially when the Mohini is she's saying I am not the right person, it's one way to say I am not the right person, don't give it to me. The second is to say that, but also say it in a very tricky way. So the way she was saying, what, I'm not the right person, I'm willing to help, but unfortunately I'm not the right person, right? She says it in a very lusty way also. So because of which the asuras say, no, it's fine, you are the right person, right? You don't worry about it, we have decided you are the right person to distribute. So they are very convinced that Mohini can help them here. So at the time, then Mohini then takes a pot of nectar and she says, I have one condition, she says. He says, listen, I'm not an expert in this, right? Like I've already established. So I might make some mistakes. So you all, if you completely agree with me and you're okay with me making mistakes, and whether it is whatever happens, then I'm willing to take this responsibility, because you can't come and blame me later that I gave more to one person or less to another person. You cannot make all those conditions, right? And they were like, and she spoke very sweetly. So they all fell for it. And they say, no, absolutely no problem. Whatever you do, we are going to be good with it, right? So they accepted decisions. So they then have to go through the demons, the asuras, and she says, okay, she's going to bring everybody together. So she makes them sit in pankti. So in Tamil, there's a word called pandi when you go for kalyana marriage, right? They say pandi podradhu, which and that comes from the word pankti. Pankti means to make you sit in rows facing each other, right? So that's what she does. She says, you all go, perform all the ritualistic ceremonies and everything. She tells the asuras, and then you fast, you take bath, all of that, and then you go sit in pankti, right? You go sit in rows, kind of facing each other, right? So they kind of all sit down there. And then once she does that, once she makes them sit in the appropriate position, she then gets ready for serving the nectar to the asura. So modhat sudha kalashameshu dadatsu satvam, dushcheshtitam mama sahadvamiti bruvana pankti prabheda biniveshita deva daitya, leela bilasa gatibihi, put a is, samadaha, put a is again, samadhas sudham tham. Mudhat sudha kalashameshu dadatsu satvam दुश्चेष्टितं मम सहध्वमिति ब्रुवाणा पङ्क्तिप्रभेदविनिवेशितदेवदैत्या लीलाविलासगतिभिः समधाः सुधां ताम्
मोदात् सुधा कलशमेषु ददत्सु सात्वं तुष्टेष्टितं मम सहध्वमिति ब्रुवाण पङ्क्तिप्रभेदविनिवेशितदेवदैत्या लीलाविलासगतिभिः समधा सुधात्वां समधा सुधातां मोदात् सुधा कलशमेषु ददत्सु सात्वं तुष्टेष्टितं मम सहध्वमिति ब्रुवाण पङ्क्तिप्रभेदविनिवेशितदेवदैत्या लीलाविलासगतिभिः समधा सुधातां
The last word, Sudham Tam.
सुधां तां
मोदात् सुधा कलशमेषु ददत्सु सात्वं दुश्चेष्टितं मम सहध्वमिति ब्रुवाणा पङ्क्तिप्रभेदविनिवेशितदेवदैत्या लीलाविलासगतिभिः समदा सुधां तां मोदात् सुधा कलशमेषु ददत्सु सात्वं दुश्चेष्टितं मम सहध्वमिति ब्रुवाणा पङ्क्तिप्रभेदविनिवेशितदेवदैत्या लीलाविलासगतिभिः समदा सुधां ताम्
अस्मा स्वीयं प्रणयिनीत्य सुरेषु तेषु जोषं स्थितेष्वत समाप्य सुधां सुरेषु त्वं भक्तलोकवशगो निजरूपमेत्य स्वर्भानुमर्दपरिपीत सुधं व्यलावीः. So then she, Mohini then makes them sit in different places, right, facing each other, the Devas and the Asuras. And because the Asuras are very carried away by her, so she first convinces them, she talks to them in a very sweet way, in a very nice way. So they are not, they won't oppose her. So first what Mohini does is she takes this pot of nectar and goes and gives it to the Devas. These Asuras are sitting here. They can see what is happening. They can see that Mohini, instead of giving it to them first, she's actually going and giving it to the Devas. But she's so beautiful, they are so much in lust over her that nobody wants to take the initiative to go question her. Because the moment you start going and question her, she's going to be sexy. I told you I may make some mistakes. And then they feel like they may not like her anymore. So they all sit quietly, right? Figuring that she knows what she's doing. Maybe she's going to give little to the Devas and come back to us. So they all kind of wait because nobody wants to create a fight with Mohini right now. So at that time, Mohini, what she does is she goes and first gives all the nectar to Devas. But there's one Asura called Swarbhanu who has a feeling that this Mohini is going to be tricking us here. So what he does is he actually takes the form of an Deva and then he goes and sits between two Devas. So when he goes and sits between two Devas and then he gets that nectar, and then he starts drinking the nectar. So at that time, the two Devas were sitting on either side. So one of the Deva who represents Surya, one Deva who represents Chandra, they realize that this person sitting between you and me is Swarbhanu, and then who is actually beginning to drink that nectar. So they immediately catch him in that act. And at that time, it says, where did it go? Yeah, Nija Rupamete says, at that time, oh Lord, you then take your original form. So you then go away from the Mohini form, you take your form of Narayana, and then with your Sudarshana Chakram, you chop that Asura's head off. So because his nectar was drunk, up to his neck is alive, the rest of the body dies. Right? So this is the story of how the Rahu planet, how the Rahu comes about, is because his head is chopped off. Because when you look at it, he has his body separately and his head separately. It's called Swarbhanu. That's the name of the Asura who goes and who identifies that Mohini is actually a trickster and goes and sits, and then that's what happens there. So Asma Swiyam Pranayinitya Sureshu. So you can't break that word. So Pranayinitya Sureshu Teshu, Josham Stitheshwata Samapya Sudham Sureshu Tvam Bhakta Loka Vashago nijarupametya, comma, swarbhanum ardha paripita. You can break it that ma. Swarbhanum ardha paripita sudham vyalavihi. अस्मास्वियं प्रणयिनीत्यसुरेषु तेषु जोषं स्थितेष्वत समाप्य सुधां सुरेषु त्वं भक्तलोकमशगो निजरूपमेत्य स्वर्भानुमर्धपरिपीत सुधं व्यलावीः. Radha, you're on mute.
Okay. अस्मास्वियं प्रणयिनीत्य सुरेषु तेषु जोषं स्थिते पवत அது எப்படி அது स्थितेष्वत समाप्य सुधां सुरेषु त्वं भक्तलोकवशगो निजरूपमेत्य स्वर्भानु अर्धपरिपीत सुतं व्यलावीः अस्मा स्वीयं प्रणयिनीत्य सुरेषु तेषु जोषं स्थितेष्वत समाप्य सुधां सुरेषु त्वं भक्तलोकवशगो निजरूपमेत्य स्वर्भानु अर्धपरिपीत सुतं व्यलावीः
अस्मास्वियं प्रणयिनीत्यसुरेषु तेषु जोषं स्थितेष्वथ समाप्य सुधां सुरेषु त्वं भक्तलोकवशगो निजरूपमेत्य स्वर्भानुमर्धपरिपीतसुधं व्यलावीः अस्मास्वियं प्रणयिनीत्यसुरेषु तेषु जोषं स्थितेष्वथ समाप्य सुधां सुरेषु त्वं भक्तलोकवशगो निजरूपमेत्य स्वर्भानुमर्धपरिपीतसुधं व्यलावीः.
Stanza 6. त्वत्तः सुधाहरणयोग्यफलं परेषु दत्त्वा गते त्वयि सुरैः खलु ते व्यगृह्णन् घोरे तमूर्च्छतिरणे बलिदैत्यमाया व्यामोहिते सुरगणे त्वमिहा विरासीः. So kind of when you look back at all the incidents which have happened so far, the Asuras and the Devas, right? Two different people, right? You can just take any two people that you know, right? The place, they were all at the same place. They were all at the same time, they were also at the same place. The purpose of why they were there is also the same. Both of them want to get nectar. The activity that both of them did is also the same, right? Because both of them had the same goal to get the nectar and both of them wanted to churn, both of them participated equally. But however, one of them succeeded, one of them did not succeed, right? And the main difference in both these instances was one of them had the blessings of the Lord, one of them did not have the blessings of the Lord. That is the only difference between these two kinds of people when you look through the entire process. The Devas did not do anything else different. The Asuras did not do anything else different. They all were trying to do the same thing. One of them had the blessings because of which right things happened to them. The other person did not have the blessings, so right things did not happen to them. So I think that's kind of one of the key lessons, which kind of comes out of this is to kind of make sure that you may do all the right things, but you need to make sure you have the blessings also, right? That is there. Anyway, so here, so having the once the Devas got the nectar now, because Mohini already gave the nectar to the Devas, and then the Asuras did not get it, right? So having given them the punishment out of that, so Mohini then disappears because her job is over. For the incarnation as Mohini, this part of the role is done, right? So she disappears off from this from that particular place. So at that time, what happens is, when that's when the Asuras realize that they have been tricked, right? By this, they start fighting with Devas because they're still not, they still have the power. They're just not invincible, right? So they start fighting with the Devas. At that time, Maharaja Bali, who is the head of the Asuras, he does a lot of illusion and everything. And the Devas are not able to win over the Asuras. He says, so you come again. So this is one of those avatars the Lord keeps on coming. He says, okay, I'll come again to help. So he then comes again on the battlefield to help. So tvattaha is that putta is tvattas sudha harana yogya phalam pareshu, comma, dattva gate tvai suraihi, put a ich sound, suraih, khalu te vyagrinnan It's a half ha. Grihnan. Ghoreta murchati rane, put a comma. Bali daitya maya, put a plus. Vyamohite suragane, then put a comma. So one comma after rane goes continuously. Vyamohite suragane, comma. Tvamiha virasihi. Tvatta sudhaharana yogya phalam pareshu. Dattva gate tvai surai khalute vyagrinnan. Ghoreta murchati rane. Balidaitya maya vyamohite suragane. Tvamiha virasihi.
त्वत्तः सुदाहरणयोग्यफलं परेषु दत्त्वा गते त्वयि सुरैः खलु ते व्यगृह्णन् घोरे तमूर्च्छतिरणे बलिदैत्यमाया व्यामोहिते सुरगणे त्वमिहा विरासीः.
Rather, the third line after rane, there's a comma, okay? Murchati rane.
त्वत्सुदाहरणयोग्यफलं परेषु दत्त्वा गते त्वयि सुरैः खलु ते व्यगृह्णन् घोरे तमूर्च्छतिरणे बलिदैत्यमाया मोहिते सुरगणे त्वमिहा विरासीः. Ade Balidaitya Maya, there is a plus sign, right?
Yeah.
How do you combine that?
Yeah. Goreta murchatirane Balidaitya Maya Vyamohite suragane Tvamiha virasihi.
त्वत्तत्सुधाहरणयोग्यफलं परेषु दत्त्वा गते त्वयि सुरैः खलु ते व्यगृह्णन् घोरेतमूर्च्छतिरणे बलिदैत्यमाया व्यामोहिते सुरगणे त्वमिहा विरासीः त्वत्तत्सुधाहरणयोग्यफलं परेषु दत्त्वा गते त्वयि सुरैः खलु ते व्यगृह्णन् घोरेथमूर्च्छतिरणे बलिदैत्यमाया व्यामोहिते सुरगणे त्वमिहा विरासीः.
Stanza 7. Tvam kalanemi matamali mukanja gandha Shakro jagana balijam bhavalan sapakan Shushkarda dushkaravade namuchauchalune penene Naradagira nyaruno ranam tvam. So there's a battle that now happens where Indra is getting rid of, like Bali, Jamba, Valan, and all these people. Indra is able to get rid of all of them. And you, O Lord, in the form of Narayana, is getting rid of this person called as Kalanemi. Mark this word and keep, because this person is going to come again later. And I'll tell you when that person comes later who this person is. So this person right now, he is one of the sons of Hiranyakashipu, Kalanemi. But the Lord kills him in this time, but he's going to take a birth again for a different purpose. So it'll come in Krishnavataram at the time, much later. So anyway, you will not use
Rajeshi, who did you say Kalanemi is son of?
Hiranyakashipu.
Hiranyakashipu. Thank you.
Yeah. So the Lord gets rid of Kalanemi, Indra gets rid of Bali, Jamba, Vala, and all of those. There was one other Asura called as Namuchi. So this Namuchi is so strong that Indra is not able to get rid of him. So Namuchi says to Indra, you know what, you can't win over me, you just you just go, right? But he says, but what if Indra comes to attack him again? So this Namuchi then gets a boon from Indra that he will not be killed with anything which is solid or dry or wet or day, night, lot of these conditions he puts. However, Indra then ends up creating a weapon out of penena. Penena means foam, F-O-A-M, foam. So this is like, it's neither liquid nor is it dry, right? Because if you touch it, it feels wet, but it's also not as wet as water. So out of foam, he creates a weapon and eventually gets rid of this Asura called as Namuchi. So anyway, so all this thing is happening. When all this is happening, Brahma then finally comes through Narada. He sends a message to everybody saying, stop the fighting. No use fighting. Devas have already gotten the nectar. So there's no use fighting here. And then the battle all comes to an end. Tvam Kalane Mimatha Mali Mukan Jagantha, comma, Shakro Jagana Bali Jamba Valan Sapakan, Shushkardra Dushkara Vadhe, Namuchau Chalune, and then put a plus, and then Penena, and then put a comma. So after Penena, you put a comma. Narada Gira Nyaruno Ranam Tvam. Tvam Kalanemi Mathamali Mukanja Gantha, Shakro Jagana Balijam Bavalan Sapakan, Shushkardra Dushkara Vadhena Muchau Chalune Penena, Narada Gira Nyaruno Ranam Tvam.
Tvam Kalanemi Matha Mali Mukanja Bhanta, Shakro Jagana Balijam Bavalan Sapakan, Shukradra Dushkaravadhe Namuchau Chalune, Gene Nanarada Gira, Nyaruno Ranam Tvam.
Once again. So the third line, Shushkardra.
There is a comma there.
No, there's no comma there, but Shushkardra, dra sound. Okay. And then the fourth line, first word is Penena, pa.
Pe.
Okay. And then there's a comma after that. Okay.
Oh, there is a G here. Pe. Okay.
Oh, okay. Just it's pa. The pa with Penena.
Tvam kalanemi matha mali mukhan jagpanta shakro jaghana balijam bavalan sapakan shukradra dushka varavadhe namuchau chanune pene nanarada gira nyaruno ranam tvam.
Again, after Penena, there is a comma. Penena. Okay.
Pene nanarada gira nyaruno ranam tvam. Ilya?
First line, last word, Jagantha.
Oh, okay. There is something here.
Something else. You said something different, yeah.
Mukan
Jagantha.
Gantavate.
Yeah, Jagantha.
Okay.
Okay.
There is something.
Yeah, you
Pa
had different word there.
There is a pa here.
Okay.
Ganta.
Tvam kalanemi mathamali mukhan jaghantha, Shakro Jagana Balijam Bhavalan Sapakan, Shushkardra Dushkaravadhe Namuchau Chalune Penena, Narada Giranyaruno Ranam Tvam. Tvam kalanemi mathamali mukhan jaghantha, Shakro Jaghana Balijam Bhavalan Sapakan, Shushkardra Dushkaravadhe Namuchau Chalune Penena, Narada Giranyaruno Ranam Tvam.
We'll switch. I think I have TG and Bhuvana right here. Stanza 8. Yosha vapur danujamohanamahitam te Shrutva bilokana kutuhalavan maheshah Bhutai samam girijaya cha gatah padam te Stutva bravida bhimatam tvamato tirodha. So, this form of yours, this incarnation of yours as Mohini, as a woman, it lured up the demons, right? It enamored the demons, and then they ended up, all the nectar ended up going to the devas. So when everybody heard about this incident that happened, so Shiva also was like wondering, what is this that I've actually heard, that Narayana came as Mohini. So he then goes along, Shiva along with Parvati and all of his Bhuta Ghanas, they all go there to see this form of the Lord as Mohini. So when he goes there, he goes to Narayana, he goes to the Vaikuntham, and then he says, what, I have seen all the incarnations you have taken, right? You have taken so many incarnations. I've seen all of that. But I also heard that you took the form of a beautiful woman, and that it actually captured everybody's attention and eyes. He says, somehow I missed seeing that. So he says, Shiva says, I came here because I want to see that incarnation of yours. How did I miss seeing that? So I really want to see that form of yours. So then the Lord then explains to Shiva, saying that, this incident happened like this, where the the asuras took the nectar away, so I had to take this form. It was a very like a karana leela, just a small incarnation, just to kind of solve that thing. So, but Shiva says, I'm very interested in seeing that form of yours. So Narayana says, absolutely, for you, I shall reveal it to you, right? And then he disappears. Yosha Vapur Danuja Mohanam Ahitam Te, Shrutva Bilokana Kutuhalavan Maheshah Bhutais Samam Girijaya Cha Gataha, put a F Gataf Padam Te, Stutva Bravida Bhimatam. You have to say it together as one word. Stutva Bravida Bhimatam Twamatho Tirodhaha. Yosha Vapurdanujamohanamahitam te Shrutva Vilokana Kutuhalavan Maheshah Bhutai Samam Girijaya cha Gatah Padam te Stutva Bravida Bhimatam Twamatho Tirodhaha.
ராஜேஷ் ஒரே ஒரு ரிக்வெஸ்ட், வேதாக்கு தமிழ் ஓரல் டெஸ்ட் இருக்கு, ஸோ அவளுக்கு கொஞ்சம் நான் ரிவைஸ் பண்ணணும் திருக்குறள் அதுவும். ஸோ கேன் எனிவன் எல்ஸ் பி ஸ்டூடெண்ட்?
No worries. Malini, can you be student?
Thank you.
Malini, are you on? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry, my mute did not go off easily.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I can. Yeah.
Pratiji, go ahead, and then Malini, you say.
Yeah.
Ritiji, go ahead. Yeah, you can start.
Yosha Vapurdanuja Mohanamahitam te Shrutva Vilokana Kutuhalavan Maheshaha Bhutai Samam Girijaya cha Gataf Padam te Stutva Bravidabhimatam Tomatho Tirodhaha. Yosha Vapurdanuja Mohanamahitam te Shrutva Vilokana Kutuhalavan Maheshaha Bhutai Samam Girijaya cha Gataf Padam te Stutva Bravidabhimatam Tomatho Tirodhaha.
Yosha Vapurdanuja Mohanamahitam te Shrutva Vilogana Kutuhalavan Maheshah Bhudai Samam Girijaya Sagataf Padam te Stutva Pravidabhimatam Tvamato Dirotaha. Yosha Vapurdhanuja Mohanamahitam te Shrutva Vilogana Kutuhalavan Maheshah Bhutai Samam Girijaya Sakataf Padam te Stutva Pravidabhimatam Tvamato Dirotaha.
Answer 9. Adhamasi cha kanduka ghata leela lola yamana nayanam kamanin manognyam Twamesha viksha vigalat vasana mano bhuvega danangari puranga sama lilinga. At that time, Lord Narayana quickly disappeared. So when Shiva and Parvati were like kind of looking for Narayana where he went all around. So at that time, suddenly there was like a very beautiful forest, a very nice setting there, and with the right trees and flowers and all of that stuff. So suddenly when Shiva looks, he then sees like a very beautiful woman who is actually playing. As in it says she was playing with a ball. She was kind of throwing the ball up or moving around. And he sees this beautiful ball, and then she sees she's very nicely decorated and decked and look very beautiful. So as he's seeing this person, what is happening is Shiva, who has the highest of austerities, right? So he is the one who has complete control over his mind and everything. He's the Yogeshwara, right? He has control over full yogic powers. So even his mind is getting carried away. He's not able to keep his eyes off of her. So, and this person, this woman who's coming there, also continues to kind of do her stuff, but also keep one eye on Shiva. Because when you're kind of not fully looking, but you're partially looking, that also creates more interest, right? So she's also partially looking at it. And it says Shiva, even though Parvati was right next to him, he somehow was getting so enamored with this woman who he's beginning to see. So because of that, he's not able to control himself. And Shiva then starts approaching this woman. and he becomes, he doesn't, he doesn't even stop. He continues. The person who has conquered Kamadeva, that's what it is saying here. The one who burned Kamadeva himself was now getting captivated by a woman. And then he then decides to go there, and then he goes and embraces this woman who is there. So, Arama Simani Cha Kanduka Ghata Leela, put a plus, Lolaya Mana Nayanam Kamanim Manognya. So, those two lines together. Twamesha Vikshya Bigalat Vasanam Manobhu, put a plus, Vegat Anangari Puranga, if you want to break it. Vegat Anangari Puranga Samali Linga. So those two lines are together as well. Adhamasi cha kanduka ghata leela lola yamana nayanam kamani manognyam Twameshya Viksha Bigalat Masana Mano Bhuvega Danangari Puranga Samali Linga.
Aramasīmani ca kanduka ghata leela lolayamana nayanam kamanim manotnyam Tvamesha vikshya vigaladvasanam mano vega
The, if you want, you can break it at the it and a. Vegat Anangari Puranga.
Vegat Anangari Puranga Samalilinga. Aramasi Manicha Kanduka Ghata Leela Lola Yamana Nayanam Kamanim Manotnyam Tvamesha Vikshya Vigaladvasanam Manophu Vegat Anangari Puranga Samalilinga.
आरामसीमनि च कन्दुककादलीला लोलायमाननयनां कमनीयमनोज्ञां त्वामेष वीक्ष्य विकलत्वसनां मनोभू वेगातनङ्गरिपुरङ्ग समालिलिङ्ग आरामसीमनि च कन्दुककादलीला लोलायमाननयनां कमनीयमनोज्ञां त्वामेष वीक्ष्य विकलत्वसनां मनोभू वेगादनङ्गरिपुरङ्ग samalilinga.
Yeah, and the second line, Malini, Kamanim, there's a im there, okay? In the second line.
Manogyam. Okay.
Sanjatan. Bhuyopi vidrutavatim upadhavya devo virya pramoksha vikasat paramartha bodha tvanmanitastava mahatvamuvacha divye tattadrishastvamavavata niketanatha. So when Shiva then went and embraced that woman, that's when suddenly he came to the realization, because he has such control, but somehow he then realized, oh my God, now I understand what this Maya was. Right now I understand what this Mohini incarnation is, because that incarnation is the full Maya potency of Narayana taking the form of a woman. That even somebody like Shiva could get tricked for a very small amount of time. Of course, Shiva then immediately realized it, but even if Shiva can get tricked for a small amount of time, Shiva then tells to Parvati what to talk about the Asuras, what to talk about normal people, how easily they will get captured by the Maya of the Lord. He says that is the power of the Maya, that even I myself fell for a small amount of time there. So no wonder the Asuras, completely fell, right? Because you might wonder, the Asuras are also, are great beings. They're also, very powerful. How can they get carried away by one beautiful person coming, and they ended up giving the entire nectar? Because it was the full Maya of the Lord, that the Asuras themselves could not control it either. Because even that's where the Shiva example is also there to see. Even Shiva also fell for a second, right? So what to talk about the Asuras or anybody else, right? So with that, this Mohini Avataram comes to an end. It doesn't talk further about the Bhasmasura and the Shasta, Ayyappa and all of that in Bhagavatam, but that's the continuation of the Mohini Avataram. But this ends here. It says, with that, O Lord of Guruvayur, please eradicate all my ailments. Bhuyopi Vidruta Vathim Upadhavya. You can break at that ma. Vathim Upadhavya Devo, Virya Pramoksha Vikasat Paramartha Bodha Tvan Manitastava Mahat Tvamuvacha Devyai, Tattadrishas त्वमव वात निकेतनाथ भूयोऽपि विद्रुतवतीमुपधाव्य देवो वीर्यप्रमोक्षविकसत्परमार्थबोधः त्वन्मानितस्तव महत्त्वमुवाच देव्यै तत्तादृशस्त्वमववात निकेतनाथ
भूयोऽपि विद्रुतवतीमुपधाव्य देवो वीर्यप्रमोक्षविकसत्परमार्थबोधः त्वन्मानितस्तव महत्त्वमुवाच देव्यै तत्तादृशस्त्वमववात निकेतनाथ भूयोऽपि विद्रुतवतीमुपधाव्य देवो वीर्यप्रमोक्षविकसत्परमार्थबोधः त्वन्मानितस्तव महत्त्वमुवाच देव्यै तत्तादृशस्त्वमववात निकेतनाथ
भूयोऽभिविद् ऋतवतीम् उपधाव्य देवो वीर्यप्रमोक्षविकसत् परमार्थबोधः द्वन्मानितस्तव महत्त्वमुवाच देव्यै तत्तादृशस्त्वमव वादनिकेतनाथ भूयोऽभिवद्रुतवतीम् उपधाव्य देवो वीर्यप्रमोक्षविकसत्परमार्थबोधः द्वन्मानितस्तव महत्त्वमुवाच देव्यै तत्तादृशस्त्वमव वातनिकेतनाथ.
Malini, the first line, vidrutavatim. V sound. I think you said va or something there. Bhuyo
Vidruvamatim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. So that kind of concludes that 27, 28, 29. Starts with Kurma Avataram and ends with Mohini Avataram. So we'll go to 30. 30 is immediately another Avataram incarnation is going to happen, although it is happening after several or maybe thousands of years later. Okay. So 30 is Vamana Avataram. So it's 2 episodes, 30 and 31 it comes. So stanza 1. Shakrena samyati hatopi balirmahatma Shukrena jivitatanuh kratuvardhitoshma Vikrantiman bhayanilina suram trilokim Chakre vashe satava chakra mukadabhitah. So in that battle that happened, we saw how Indra got rid of Bali Maharaja, or he defeated Bali Maharaja. But whatever happened to Bali, right, at the time when he was defeated and he was injured or he almost died, whatever exactly happened, I don't know, but whatever happened, Shukracharya, who is the guru of the Asuras, brought Bali back to normalcy, because Shukracharya has the power of bringing dead people back. So he then brought Bali Maharaja back. Then Bali Maharaja was continued to be the head of the Asuras, and then he came back to, he became strong again. So because the Devas had become strong, because they had the nectar, they became invincible, right? All of that is happening. So Bali then goes to Shukracharya and says, I want to somehow get all the power back. This battle is continuing, right? After thousands of years also. So Bali is saying, I want to get all this thing back. So Shukracharya says, you go perform when Vishwajit Yajna and all that, which Bali performs. So he performs it, he starts getting, even more stronger, everything. And because again, Bali Maharaja is also in the incarnation, the hierarchy of Prahlada. So he's the grandson of Prahlada. So he was also blessed, right? So with all of that, he would continued, and then he performed several more yajnas, and then he starts becoming more and more powerful over a period of time, right? So at that time he becomes, and then he performs multiple Ashwamedha yajnas, etc. And then now the Devas are becoming weak again because Bali is becoming more strong. So that's the current situation here. So Shakrena, so the Sha, when it says Shakrena, it means Indra. It's different from Chakra, Cha, because that is to conquer or defeat. So the first letter here is Sha sound, okay? So Shakrena samyati hatopi balir mahatma, comma, Shukrena jivita tanuhu, put the ich sound, tanuh, kratu varditoshma, Vikrantiman bhaya Nilin Asuram Trilokin, comma, Chakre Vashe Satava Chakra Mukada Bhitaha. शक्रेण संयति हतोऽपि बलिर्महात्मा शुक्रेण जीविततनुः क्रतुवर्धितोष्मा विक्रान्तिमान् भयनिलीनसुरां त्रिलोकीं चक्रे वशे स तव चक्रमुखादभीतः.
शक्रेण संयति हतोऽपि बलिर्महात्मा शुक्रेण जीविततनुः क्रतुवर्धितोष्मा विक्रान्तिमान् भयनिलीनसुरां त्रिलोकीं चक्रे वशे स तव चक्रमुखादभीतः. शक्रेण संयति हतोऽपि बलिर्महात्मा शुक्रेण जीविततनुः क्रतुवर्धितोष्मा विक्रान्तिमान् भयनिलीनसुरां त्रिलोकीं चक्रे वशे स तव चक्रमुखादभीतः.
शक्रेण संयति हतोऽपि बलिर्महात्मा शुक्रेण जीवतनुः कृतवर्तिधोष्मा विक्रान्तिमान् भयनिलीनसुरां त्रिलोकीं चक्रे वशेष स तव चक्रमुखादपीतः. शक्रेण संयति हतोऽपि बलिर्महात्मा शुक्रेण जीवतनुः कृतवर्तिधोष्मा
Malani அந்த லைன்ல शुक्रेण जीवित, ஓகே,
शुक्रेण जीवित तनुः
तनु क्रतु वर्धितोष्मा, क्रॉस आउट.
ओके, शुक्रेण जीवतनु
जीवित तनु, you're missing the ta sound.
तनु, ओके, जीवित तनु क्रतुवर्तिदोष्मा विक्रान्तिमान् भयनिलीनसुरां त्रिलोकीं चक्रे वचेशतव चक्रमुखादभीतः.
पुत्रार्तिदर्शनवशाद् अदितिर्विषण्णा तं काश्यपं निजपतिं शरणं प्रपन्ना त्वत्पूजनं तदुदितं हि पयोव्रताख्यं सा द्वादशाहमचरत् त्वयि भक्तिपूर्णा. So because the demigods, Indra and all the demigods had become weaker because Bali was getting stronger, he was performing all these yajnas and he was getting more power. So they all approach Aditi, who is their mother. So and then Aditi and they all go to Kashyapa, who's Aditi's husband, Devas, demigods' father, and they go to Kashyapa and say that, you know, you need to really help us out here. And Aditi as a mother is also going and asking for that request. So Kashyapa then tells Aditi, not in my hands. All of these things, you have to pray to the Supreme Lord. He's the only one who can come and protect you at this time. So he says you perform something called as a payo vrata. Payo vrata, vratam. So vratam, payo vratam. Payo means like milk. So the milk vratam is essentially for in the Phalguni Masam, the February-March time frame, for 12 days, which is ending with Dwadashi. You then do nothing, but you only drink, you only sustain on milk. You don't drink anything else. So that's why it's payo vratakyam. You're in a vratam, but you're only drinking milk. And then of course it's not just drinking milk and remaining, but you have to be constantly praying to the Lord also. That's the whole idea of the vratam, is to be praying to the Lord. So he says you do nothing else, but you just pray to the Lord for 12 days, only consuming milk. You perform this payo vratakyam. He says that will result in a lot of, you know, many benefits it will have, and then Lord will come and bless you. That's what Kashyapa is telling Aditi. So putrarti darshana vashad aditya, that is there. If you want to, you can break it into it and a. So vashad adithir vishanna, comma, tam kashyapam nijapatim sharanam prapanna tvat pujanam taduditam hi payo vrathakyam, comma, sa dwadashaham acharat tvayi bhakti purna. पुत्रार्तिदर्शनवशाद् अदितिर्विषण्णा तं काश्यपं निजपतिं शरणं प्रपन्ना त्वत्पूजनं तदुदितं हि पयोव्रताख्यं सा द्वादशाहमचरत् त्वयि भक्तिपूर्णा.
पुत्रार्तिदर्शनवशात् अदितिर्विषण्णा तं काश्यपं निजपतिं शरणं प्रपन्ना त्वत्पूजनं तदुदितं हि पयोव्रताख्यं सा द्वादशाहमचरत् सा द्वादशाहमचरत् त्वयि भक्तिपूर्णा पुत्रार्थिदर्शनवशाद् अदितिर्विषण्णा तं काश्यपं निजपतिं शरणं प्रपन्ना त्वत्पूजनं तदुदितं हि पयोव्रताख्यं सा द्वादशाहमचरत् त्वयि भक्तिपूर्णा
पुत्रादिदर्शन वसात् अदितिर्विषण्णा तं काश्यपं निजपतिं शरणं प्रपन्ना त्वत्पूजनं तदुदितं हि पयोव्रताख्यं साध्वातसाह मचरद्वयि भक्तिपूर्णा पुत्रादिदर्शन वसाद् आदितिर्विषण्णा तं काश्यपं निजपतिं शरणं प्रपन्ना त्वत्पूजनं त्वदुदितं हि पयोव्रताख्यं स्वाधातसाहमरचद्वयि भक्तिपूर्णा.
Malini, the last line, Dwadashaham acharat tvayi.
Twadasaham, right?
Dwadashaham acharat tvayi.
Twadasaham acharadvai bhakti purna.
Answer 3. Tasya
Rajesh,
bhadam.
I have a question, sir. The last line, can it be Tvada Saha Majarat Tvayi Bhakti Purna, or should it be?
Yeah, that's why I corrected that. It has to be Dwadashaham acharat. So that's the word.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Answer 3. Tasya bhadau tvayi nilina matera mushyaha श्यामश्चतुर्भुजवपु स्वयमाभिरासीः नम्रां च तामिह भवत्तनयो भवेयं गोप्यं मदीक्षणमिति प्रलपन्नयासीः. So then Aditi very dedicatedly performed this for 12 days. She performed the Payovratakyam. And then when she does it with undivided, she got her mind under control senses. So it's not like just sitting and praying, but they also have to get their mind and sense and everything under control, right? Going through the yoga process. So she does it for 12 days. And finally, you, O Lord, appeared in front of her. You appeared in front of her wearing, Shyamas Chatur Bhujavapu, in a very beautiful dark blue color form with Chatur Bhujam, with Shankh, Chakram, Gada, Padmam and everything. And then you appeared in front of her and says, I already know what is in your mind. You are looking for the welfare of your children, which are the demigods. But says, unfortunately, the asuras are just very powerful right now. They become powerful again. So there's nothing much the demigods can do at this time. He says, however, let me find out a way, and I will be born to both you and Kashyapa. So I will take another incarnation, being born to you. And he says, whatever I'm telling you now, keep it as a secret. Don't let anybody know it is me who's taking this incarnation. So keep it as a secret so that nobody else comes to find out about it. So tasya bhadau tvayi nilina matera mushyaha, shamash chatur bhuja vapuhu, putta is vapus, swayam avirasihi, namram cha tamiha bhavat tanayo bhaveyam, gopyam madikshanamiti pralapannayasihi. So just do one time, Retiji and Malini. I want to finish up to 5 today. Tasya badhau tvayi nilina matera mushyaha श्यामश्चतुर्भुजवपु स्वयमाभिरासीः नम्रां च तामिह भवत्तनयो भवेयं गोप्यं मदीक्षणमिति प्रलपन्नयासीः.
तस्या वधौ त्वयि निलीनमतेरमुष्याः श्यामश्चतुर्भुजवपुः स्वयमाभिरासीः नम्रां च तामिह भवत्तनयो भवेयं गोप्यं मदीक्षणमिति प्रलपन्नयासीः.
तस्या वदौ त्वयि निलीनमतेरमुष्याः श्यामश्चतुर्भुजवपुः स्वयमाविरासीः नम्रां च तामिह भवत्तनयो भवेयं गोप्यं मदीक्षणमिति प्रलपन्नयासीः.
And so forth. Tvam kashype tapasi sannidhadattadhani praptosi garbhamadite pranuto vidhatra Prasuta cha prakata Vaishnava divya roopam sa dvadashi shravana punya dhine bhavantam. So, because Kashyapa is such a great Muni, right? So he's so what do you call advanced, right? So when he's sitting and meditating, he can see that some energy has entered into his body. So some energy of the Lord enters into Kashyapa's body, and then the union of Kashyapa and Aditi happens, and then at the time, then a child is born. So this child who is actually born from the womb of Aditi, and we will revisit the same conversation 7 weeks later or 6 to 7 weeks later. So the child, when it's born, is not born like a normal child. It is born with Chaturbhujam. It is like, imagine the form of Narayana, but then condensed into a mini version of Narayana. That is how the child is born, right? When it is directly born. Because when Kashyapa and Aditi see the child being born, they see it is already there with the Chaturbhujam, right? And Kashyapa knows what it is. And Aditi also knows the Lord has said, I myself am going to be born to you. So they both realize it and says, okay, the incarnation of the Lord has actually happened here. And he's then born on the, it says on Dwadashi Shravana Punya Dine. So it's born on the Dwadashi, on the confluence of Dwadashi and Shravana Nakshatram. On that day, the incarnation of the Lord takes place here. Tvam Kashyape Tapasi Sannidhadat Tadanim, Praptosi Garbham Aditehe, put a F, Adite Pranuto Vidhatra, Prasuta Cha Prakata Vaishnava Divya Rupam, Sa Dwadashi Shravana Punya Dine Bhavantam. So Vaishnava Divya Rupam, like is like an indication that when the Lord is born, he is born with all his attributes. That means it's a validation, like we saw in Prithu Charitram and everything. They'll come to know it's the incarnation of the Lord. Tvam Kashype tapasi sannidhadatadani praptosi garbhamadite pranuto vidhatra prasuta cha prakata Vaishnava divya rupam sa dvadashi shravana punya dine bhavantam.
Tvam Kasyape tapasi sannidhatat tadanim praptosi garbhamadite pranuto vidhatra prasuta cha prakata Vaishnava divya rupam sadvadashi shravana punya dine bhavantam.
Tvam Kasyape tapasi sannidhadatadanim praptosi garbhamidite pranato vidhatra prasuda cha prakata Vaishnava divya rupam sadvadashi shravana punyadine bhavantam.
Malini, the second line, second word, Garbham Adite.
Garbham Adite pranato vidhatra.
That's okay. Punya Shramam Tamabhivarshati Pushpa Varshaihi Harsha Kule Suragane Kritaturya Ghoshe Badvanjalim Jaya Jayeti Nutah Pitrubhyam Tvam Takshane Patutamam Baturupamadha. So when Aditi and Kashyapa see this form of the Lord, then they realize, so they, of course, offer their praise. So there are a couple of times where the parents actually do prostration to the son. So one of them is Kashyapa and Aditi doing right now. The next will happen when the Lord takes a similar form, and is in Dasakam 38 when it comes, when Devaki and Vasudeva will do that when Krishna Avataram happens, right? So they say, you are the Lord, you are being born to us, right? So there's no parent or child here. So anyway, so they, they immediately worship the Lord here. And because this avataram has happened and everybody knows about that, some of them know about it, Brahma and others. So they all then, Pushpa Varshaihi, they all offer flowers and everything. So at the time when your parents were praising you with their hands folded, you immediately take the form. So he is born as Chaturbhujam, and then he immediately takes the form of Vatu Rupamata. Vatu is like it's like a brahmachari. It's a small young brahmachari. So which brahmachari, in the sense, the Upanayanam has not happened yet. It's only going to happen in the next stanza. But by indicating brahmachari, they're saying it's kind of in that age where you're ready for Upanayana. So kind of 6-7 years. So he automatically takes the form of somebody who's in that young boy's form. Punya Shramam Thamabhivarshati Pushpa Varshaihi. Put a visarga comma, end of the line. Next line, on top of the ha, there is a ir that goes away. Harsha Kule Suragane krita turya ghoshe badvanjalim jaya jayeti nutaha, put a F, nutah pitrubhyam, comma, tvam tatkshane patutamam vatu rupamadaha.
I just have a question. இது வந்து சுரகுலே கணேவா சுரகணேவா?
Suragane.
I have both Surakule and Gane. So
Yeah, Kulam is like the clan. Gana are the people of Sura. Sura are the gods. So Suragane just mean the
same
god.
thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So, but change it to Suragane to be consistent.
Yeah, அதான். Okay. ஏன்னா ரெண்டும் இருக்குதுல. So
Okay. Punyashramam tamabhivarshati pushpavarshaihi harshakule suragane kritaturya ghoshe badvanjalim jaya jayeti nutah pitrubhyam tvam tatshane patutamam vaturupamadha. You can do twice. You can do twice. Okay, you have time.
पुण्याश्रमं तमभिवर्षति पुष्पवर्षैः हर्षाकुले सुरगणे कृततूर्यघोषे बद्ध्वाञ्जलिं जय जयेति नुतः पितृभ्यां त्वं तत्क्षणे पटुतमं पटुरूपमाथाः.
One more. Can do two times.
पुण्याश्रमं तमभिवर्षति पुष्पवर्षैः हर्षाकुले सुरगणे कृततूर्यघोषे बद्ध्वाञ्जलिं जय जयेति नुतः पितृभ्यां त्वं तत्क्षणे पटुतमं वटुरूपमाथाः.
पुण्याश्रमं तमपि वर्षति पुष्पवर्षैः हर्षाकुले सुरगणे कृतदूर्यघोषे पद्माञ्जलिं जय 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 जयेति नुतः पितृभ्यां त्वं तत्क्षणे पडुतमं वडुरूपमादाः. पुण्याश्रमं तमभि वर्षति पुष्पवर्षैः हर्षाकुले सुरगणे कृतदूर्यघोषे पद्माञ्जलिं जय जयति नुतः पितृभ्यां त्वं तत्क्षणे पडुतमं वडुरूपमादाः.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. We'll end the class here today. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadebhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurusharthatmakam brahma tattvam tattavad bhati sakshat guru pavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you, everyone. Next Saturday, we have the Parayanam going on at the Wisconsin temple. I know Ratiji is coming, Viji is coming. So for the rest of the people, there won't be a class, but I don't want to let another class go, empty. So what you can, since we've finished 29 and a half, you can do a review from 21 to 29. So like you've done in the past, I will kind of post chapters 21 to 29, and please pick one chapter, right? And you all can just join and review it. And then if you finish it early, you can then wrap up and end it. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Rajesh, Wisconsin, what day it is?
Next Saturday.
Next, what time do you know?
8:30 ke aarambikkrathu. Vijaya and everybody knows also. Vijaya only organized 8:30 in the morning. It is next to Milwaukee. It's like
I know the place.
You know the temple, right? Yeah.
I don't know if I can make it. I mean, I was just trying to find out the timing. So 8:30 to 11:30. Yeah.
It will become 8:30. We'll do Vishnu Sahasranam and it will become 8:30 to 12:30. So if you're coming, just sign up in that Excel sheet, right? I had posted in that Narayaneeyam community. I posted an Excel sheet. Put your name in there. I'll add you to a separate WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Anyway, people are carpooling and everything.
I think I have some, what do you call, overlap. Something else.
If anyone else is able to join, just add yourself to that sheet and then I will add you to the WhatsApp group. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Rajesh.